My name is Bridget, if you don't know me. I'm on the forums as Aurora Mendy. I'm in Chicago. I'm going to talk about pregnant belly henna. And I know she put it as a demo, but it's really not a demo because I'm going to do a demo, but more of it is talking about just pretty much everything that it entails, because working with a pregnant woman is completely different than working with a non-pregnant woman because everything is different. Things that may not affect you when you are not pregnant can be completely different when you are pregnant. The first time I ever had an allergic reaction to bees when I was pregnant. I'd been stung before, nothing happened before. Got stung when I was pregnant, my whole arm swelled up. So, you know, things can be completely different. And I'm gonna discuss about that because your mix has to be different. Unless you use, like me for instance, I always use lavender and tea tree oil mixes because they're safe on everybody. So it's perfectly fine. I don't have to get creative, and then I don't have to worry about whether or not the person is sitting in front of me just didn't bother to mention that she just found out she was pregnant. So first thing is essential oils, because essential oils you may think natural, but they can be actually extremely dangerous and do very different things to your body, including put you into labor, make you sensitive to the sun, all sorts of things. Most of the time, the amount of essential oil that we put in our henna is not really enough to like make a huge difference. It's more when you like rub it all over your body. But to be on the safe side, we want to, you know, just avoid certain oils. Now, everybody knows that lavender, I don't know if some people may not, you know, be new to henna, but lavender is generally considered to be one of the safest essential oils because it has very little side effects or sensitivities. It's non-toxic. You can apply it neat, which means undiluted, on your body. So we tend to use that with pregnancy. But when you're in doubt, leave it out, because most of the time henna works just fine without oils. It may not stay as long, but when it comes down to it, if you want to be on the safe side, just leave it out completely. But most of the time, 99.9% of the time, you're not going to have any problems. I'd say the biggest problem when it comes to like sensitivities is the pregnant belly. It's stretched skin. It's going to be more likely to be irritated or itchy. So, you know, that would probably be the only issue, if anything, when it comes to lavender. But 99.99% of the time, you're not going to have a problem. When it came to these oils, what I did was I looked through several different essential oil guides online, as well as like 5 or 6 books I took out from the library. And they're all extremely contradictory. One will say one thing, and then one will say another thing, and then one will say something completely different from the other two. So I basically took a consensus, and the ones that showed numerous times in more than like 3 references, I put in here. And I pretty much just included the oils that we tend to use, like the stuff I heard on forums and stuff that people were using in their henna. You know, different mixes that I've seen, you know, whether they're sold commercially, like, was it Rani oil? It's got pine and stuff like that in it, you can't use it. So I try to include, you know, oils that I see being used regularly. And I came up with top 4 best ones to use, and lavender would be the very best. The oil the henna we have today is just lavender only that we're using today. Tea tree, neroli, and cajuput. I can't even say it.
What is the consensus of
Cajuput. I think someone said it was cajuput. Anyways, tea tree, neroli, and cajuput. They're non-toxic, non-sensitizing, and generally gentle on everyone. They don't have side effects. The only thing is that some people were saying that it would cause some very minor irritation in someone who is extremely sensitive. So if you're going to use them, it's best to use them in like half doses. Don't make it your primary oil. Maybe put a little bit in there, or like I do half tea tree, half lavender, because I like the smell of it. But when you're pregnant, things that may not irritate you before may irritate you now, because your hormones do crazy things to everything. Think about it this way, and there's a lot of women in the room, most of you of women, you don't get your eyebrows waxed right before your period. Why? Because it hurts more. Because your hormones actually make your skin more sensitive. So it's the same reason when you're pregnant. Your hormones are like 80 times what it is like right before your period. So you have to be careful when it comes to, don't give me that look. You have to be careful when it comes to being sensitive. You have to err on the side of caution. So there are other oils that can do strange things to you besides just being itchy. Sometimes they sensitize you, which means you can develop an allergy, you can burn easier under the sun, you can develop rashes, you know, some oils can raise or lower your blood sugar or your blood pressure. I can't even list all the stuff that some of these oils can do because people actually use them therapeutically to do these things. When you're pregnant, it changes that completely. And there's ones that alter your hormones. They're great when you're not pregnant because it can regulate your period, it can get rid of some of your PMS side effects, but when you're pregnant, it can regulate your hormones to the point where your body goes, oh, it's time to get the baby out. And then next thing you know, you're getting contractions. You can even have miscarriages in the first few months. So these oils down here have it very, very strong that can actually do that. Rose, juniper, marjoram, rosemary, jasmine, clove, geranium, peppermint, and cypress were some of the ones that were listed throughout every single book that I read as an absolutely no, no, no while you're pregnant. So you definitely want to completely avoid those in any dosage, because the last thing you want is a person to go into labor. Now, one thing I keep seeing on forums and chat things that are going on amongst us henna artists is that someone will say, oh, well, I used the lavender mix on the belly, but you know, I'd use whatever on the hands. I just want to reach through the computer and slap them silly, because when a woman is pregnant, her entire body is pregnant, not just her belly. And when you put something on the belly, it does not soak into the baby. Everything that you put on your body, down to the shampoo on your head, to the lotion, to your henna, to your nail polish remover, everything can go into your skin in very small doses, and then it goes through your bloodstream. Everything that goes through a woman's bloodstream goes through her placenta. Sometimes it filters it out, sometimes it doesn't. Many essential oils are not filtered out. They just move through your body. So you're putting it on her belly, you're putting it on her hand, it's all gonna end up in the same place. So just keep that in mind when you're like, oh, you know, I could put this on her hands, but I can put this on her belly. It's all, when a woman is pregnant, her entire body is pregnant. Let's see. Most of the guides also did say to avoid essential oils during the first trimester. First trimester is the most dangerous time in a pregnant woman's entire pregnancy. They say like most of the miscarriages happen within the first trimester. There are wives' tales that say, oh, you know, don't tell anybody you're pregnant till you're 6 months or till you're 3 months, because if you have a miscarriage, then you have to tell everybody else that something happened. So not only for safety reasons, but liability reasons. You don't really want to work on anybody under 3 months, and you don't want to work on anybody who has any high-risk conditions, no matter what it is. Not because it may affect it, but because if, okay, say you henna somebody and then she just happens to randomly have a spike in her toxemia, which causes her blood pressure to go way up and her swelling, chances are the henna had absolutely nothing to do with that, but you don't want her to come back to you and go, I got henna from you and this happened yesterday, right after it. That's a big liability problem. You don't want that. So, you know, cover your ass. The CYA rule works in everything. You know, generally work with people who are not ill. You also want to pay attention to her and make sure she doesn't look ill. Like if she looks like she's bright yellow and she's jaundiced, you probably want to tell her to go to the doctor, no, not put henna on her. You know, not necessarily that it's going to affect it, but you know, you don't want that, you don't want the doubt in your mind wondering whether or not it was something that happened from you. Because chances are it has absolutely nothing to do with henna. Another thing I want to note is that henna is not approved for pregnancy. Henna is not approved for your hands. Henna shampoo is not approved for pregnancy. Tylenol is not approved for pregnancy. Advil is not approved for pregnancy, because they don't approve things for pregnancy, because we have a tendency to not want to, you know, do tests on our pregnant women. Something about that just screams unethical. Chances are it's going to be safer than the chemical-filled petroleum product shampoo that you're using every single morning, and your Jergens lotion that you're rubbing into your belly every single day. So that's my spiel on that. I also have a do's and don't list. There are certain things about a pregnant woman's body that you have to consider when you're henning her, okay? Like I said, no one who's any high risk, you know? If you have never had a baby, some people don't know, but a pregnant woman cannot lay on her back. Do not ever ask a pregnant woman to lay on her back so you can do her henna. Your body has very large veins and arteries running in and out of your back. And when a woman lays on her back or in too far back of a position, the baby just goes like this to those veins. And the next thing you know, your head gets woozy, your toes get tingly, and then you pass out. So you can't be too far back. You want her to be in a, somewhat reclined position, but not too far back to the point where she's uncomfortable. Another thing is if you sit too long, your ankles start to swell, you start getting uncomfortable, you tend to get fidgety, because once that baby moves around, they're bouncing off organs. So, they often have to move. So you don't want to ever expect them to be in any position for any extended period of time. I see this more in like a traditional Indian tradition on hands, that sometimes people will move to other areas of the body just out of habit. You do not need to put oil on first. It actually can stop the henna from soaking in.